releasing, at least from my side, we release pretty consistently. But ONI is every 3 months and things like that. And so there was questions about what about CVEs and things of that we really hadn't focused on. And so I think that's going to become more important as we move forward.
Right.
So a quick question related to that report. Were AT&T or anybody else expressing an interest in actually contributing to open source stacks for the customer premises equipment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of their effort right now is finding out what makes sense. But, for example, there's going to be a BMC on their device, and so they were talking about OpenBMC and how that has to be hardened. And so they seem very interested in helping move OpenBMC along to make it more hardened. And I think there was some discussion about ONI and Secure Boot.
Yeah, TPM came up a bit, and so that'll be an interesting one to deal with, especially when you have both the BMC and you have an onboard processor.
So the focus was, however, on lower level infrastructure as opposed to services like routing, firewall, and so forth.
Yeah, the specifics we got into was on the lower level of the stack, although they did talk about firewalls and routers, and there wasn't much in the way of specifics there. So
I have a document, I'm not exactly sure where I got it, which lists 4 different configurations that they have that go from a Marvell chipset low end that's expected to really only push, like a gig if that, all the way up to Hurricane 3 based systems, which are pretty powerful when you think about it for the amount of forwarding and things. So yes, we were talking about the lower stuff, but there is a need for the higher stuff. And then they're doing a lot of stuff with not containers, VMs basically, but they're doing NFV type of stuff on these devices too.
Okay, if no one else has anything to add about the TIP Summit, we can move on to project status. All right, so let's talk about project status. And Kurt, you as always happen to be first.
Yeah, you can juggle the order whenever you feel like it. Yeah, good morning. So yeah, on the ONI project, things have been cruising along. We've added a number of new platforms as usual. It's that time of the year where we are releasing the quarterly release of ONI this week, the November 2017 release. That's the major news for this month. And that all looks to be straightforward. No problems.
A lot of static here. There we go. Thank you. Was someone trying to ask a question?
I think it was just some background noise. I muted them.
Okay. Thank you. So then we move on. Shin, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Yeah, for SAI, we are working towards the end of the year, adding the latest release 1.4, which we will add INT as an experimental proposal, and Broadcom is working on a data plan telemetry proposal. Not sure if we can finish that before the end of the year, but it's in discussing. Sorry, three proposals. The third one is BFD, which we had 2 iterations. We'll go through the last one very soon.
Wow, that was quick.
What were the
If you
3
could type in-
vendors? INT, BFD,
And data plane telemetry from Broadcom. Yeah, that's a more general telemetry framework. Yeah.
Right. So those are going to be experimental in 1.4.
Right. INT will be experimental. Yeah. The other 2 won't. The other 2 are general proposal.
Okay.
Yeah, the second one is a data plane telemetry proposal.
Great.
For Sonic, we are still working towards the December 15th release. The roadmap is the detailed proposal features are posted on the roadmap on the wiki.
Great. So yeah, both Psi and Sonic, I'm just hearing so much. Every time people talk about OCP networking, those 2 things seem to come up. So that's great. How about the campus branch and wireless? Is anybody on the call from CBW that would like to talk? So I know one thing that they're going on with right now is they're trying to do at the OCP summit, or perhaps even other venues where OCP members get together, is to set up the wireless, at least part of the wireless access to use OCP equipment and the work that they've been doing. So I don't know if any of the OCP staff have talked with the CBW team about maybe during Summit that we could do this. Have those discussions started?
not that I'm aware of.
We did talk, this is Kaylee, we did talk to them about, they wanted to test it at one of our smaller events that we had last, actually, they wanted to test it this month at one of our smaller events we were co-locating at, but it just wasn't a quick enough turnaround time for us to work with the host group on it. So they have mentioned to me about wanting to do it at Summit, but it's just something that I need to talk with our production team about. So I'm aware of it, we're aware of it, but we don't have any answers as of yet. But yes, it's in the works.
Yeah, I know there's lots of, I don't know, logistical problems or issues that have to be solved for that, but it would be great if we could, have a wireless network there that people could connect to, and, you're using OCP equipment if you're using the network. That'd be great.
Yeah, as soon as we can talk to the venue and see kind of what the roadblocks are and that kind of thing, then we'll definitely get some answers. So yeah, I agree. It would be great.
Was that with Rajat, Kaylee, that you were talking to?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, we can ping him and just make sure that he's kind of helping push that.
Yep.
Okay, David. are you with us today? Anybody from the Interop Lab? It's static, okay. Okay, so no update from the Interop Lab. And then ONL, I see, Stephen, you've put some things in there.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's kind of what happens all the time. Is right. We're getting new platforms in. We're expanding our Python API bindings, and so there's been a lot of requests from that for that. EFI support, we support it now for basically any platform that has EFI, but it's mostly tested on the 7712. And I'm also taking a lot of input from the TIP Summit back to my team to talk to them about, how do we make this something that AT&T can digest. The other thing I was going to point out with CDW was I brought up with the TIP guys about the fact that the smaller CPE boxes may end up wanting to work with the CDW people instead of on, a full-blown system like ONL.
Yeah, just because of the amount of resources available on those devices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Stephen. And then Dawn, I see you furiously typing here.
Yeah, I heard you mention Stephen had done those. I'm like, oh, obviously a useful thing to do. And if you does that roll up? I can't see it on your screen, but okay. So OWM is available. The Python interface to see what's going on in the EEPROMs of your optoelectronic devices. Not changing much because it's there and working, and until we get some people using it and providing feedback, it's ready. We do demonstrations to vendors and customers and continue generating interest there. The Opto driver, that's the new driver that I built based on the SFF8436 driver from Cumulus. Does all the things that we talked about at the engineering workshop back in August. That is, accesses all pages, does reads and writes, supports SFP and QSFP. So it's available. I believe it's ready to ship. There are 2 switch vendors that are actively integrating it into their driver submittals. They'll go to NOS vendors. I think one might be visible publicly in the next few days. I don't want to name them because it's their activity, not mine. I'm just helping them with it, but that's very encouraging. A couple of very minor improvements went in as a part of their testing them out, but it seems to be working well. I'm also, didn't get time to type in here, there's 3 activities I'm aware of working to integrate or to get the optics working right in 3 different NOSes. So some don't work at all, though they claim to. Some we want to get OOM onto. Some we want to get the better driver onto. But there's activities going on that will show up soon as NOSes that will get better because of things going on here. Curiously, it's not the NOS vendors that are working on it, but the switch drivers and others. So there's activity going on, and I'm expecting soon to see Opto actually visible in running NOSes on running switches publicly.
Great. It's always good to see the work we've been focusing on coming to fruition.
Yeah, no kidding.
As far as the GitHub site, is that an OCP? Is that the Open Compute site?
Yeah, GitHub/OCP networking/OOM.
Okay. Great. So I think that does it for project status. And so I think we can probably wrap it up here, but before we do, is there any other agenda items that people wanted to talk about? All right, hearing none, I think we'll wrap up the call here. Thanks for attending, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.